adjust the microphone so we can hear you. And for the record, say and spell your first and last name, please.
Sure. It's Elyse, Elyse, Bleuel, B as in boy, Leuel, Bleuel. Okay. Let me take that for you.
Well, how are you doing today?
Good.
I'm going to ask you some questions about the years 2016 and 17.
Okay.
Starting with, did you at that time work out at LA Fitness in Woodland Hills?
I did, yes.
And were you in a racquetball league there?
Yes, I was.
Who were you in the league with?
Well, with the defendant Monica and Faye and Paula, we were on the D Leagues, we weren't very good. And then my boyfriend was on the B League because he was really good. And am I supposed to name like everybody that was on the thing?
That's good. So let me ask you a couple of questions. You said the defendant. Do you see who you refer to the defendant in court?
Yep.
Can you please describe where that person is sitting and what that person is wearing?
Sure. She is sitting at the table there. And she is wearing a black blazer and a blue coat. Blue shirt. Huh?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. And then Robert Baker, did you know him?
I did, yeah.
He was in 57, February Mark. Do you recognize him?
Yep. Yes.
Was he part of the racquetball league?
Yeah, he was the guy that orchestrated it, kept it organized, did the schedules, and told us what court to play in, and kept it running.
Was he also the coach?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't really know he had a coach. He was more like head of the racquetball league.
Okay. Did he play with you?
No, but he did teach.
Okay. And then who else was in this league? You said your friend Faye?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was worse than me.
Exhibit 55, she was the worst player.
She was the worst.
Okay, so Faye, that Faye, Exhibit 55?
It is.
Did you know Sheila Stalavian?
Oh, yeah, Sheila.
62, is that Sheila?
It is, yes.
And what about her husband, Ricardo?
Yep.
That makes sense?
I do.
Now, all of you guys in the same league?
Yes, at the gym. I mean, there were different, there was A, B, C, D.
Okay, who did you normally play with?
Faye. And Monica, she got better fast. And then Paula. And then anyone who would take pity because I was really bad. 1 second. So it was more of a pity to play with me.
Pity?
You
said Paula. Who's Paula?
Paula McCollum. And Sean ended up taking over the league later. But she was really fun and kind.
My name Mark resume at 64, is that right?
67.
67. 67, from a female individual labeled Paula McCollum. Is that Paula?
Yes. Yep.
So she was in the league with you as well.
Yes.
And then my name Marcus equals 68, an individual labeled Sean McCollum.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yes.
You recognize him here? All right. Did you say that all of those photos I just showed you was everybody friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
How often did you play with them? All of them?
Our league met, I want to say it was Thursdays. Every week. I want to say Thursday.
Now, do you know when you first met Monica?
Yeah, it was the beginning. So it was really bad. And so I didn't even qualify for the D League for like 2 sessions. And then I finally qualified, I think it was January, which is why I remember. And then Matt brought Faye and Monica down, and they had no experience. So we quickly, became friends and laughed and were silly because we were really bad.
You said Matt. Did you see Matt today?
As I was walking down the hallway.
So did you see him walk out of the courtroom?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Matt. Do you know his last name?
Nope.
Okay. So what was his role at the gym?
I know that he was a trainer.
Did he ever play in the league with you guys?
No.
Okay. So were you already friends with Faye when you met the defendant?
No, it was all the same night. It was like the beginning.
Okay. So how did you become friends with the defendant then?
it was the three of us. You know, it was like a weekly thing, and you get there and you warm up, and then Robert would say, okay, so and so and so and so in court 1, so and so and so and so in court 2, and there were 4 courts. And then you'd sit on the benches and wait. And then when it was your turn, then you'd go in, and then you'd come out and you'd like cheer. You'd watch some of the people and like, you know, cheer for them, and then we'd joke around with whoever was sitting waiting their turn.
Did you form then a friendship between you, the defendant, and Faye?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
was that the question? I'm sorry.
Well, that's my new question. Did you call yourself something?
Oh, yeah. Well, because we were like the 3 Musketeers, because we were really jokey, and it felt very like fun high school kind of. You know, it's after work, it's night, and it was just fun. It was just fun, and we were laughing a lot and joking around. And
So did you socialize then with the defendant outside of LA Fitness?
yes.
What did you guys do?
Usually it was like after a workout, and we would go to Monica's house. She had this outdoor fire pit, and we'd drink wine and smoke cigarettes, and I mostly complained about my boyfriend, and kind of had girl talk. It was just fun.
During those talks, did she ever complain about her husband, Monica Sementilli's husband?
She didn't really complain around there. I mean, I did a lot of the complaining. So I think there was like agreement, you know, like, oh, you know, when he does this, and she'd be like, yeah, but, you know, wasn't extensive complaining on her side there.
Do you remember anything in particular that she said about her husband?
Do you mean at the fire pit or just whenever?
Well, let's start with the fire pit.
Okay. Oof. Well, not sure. Like, we would ask each other questions, like, you know, but I'm not sure how to, can you ask me that question again or differently?
Okay, so you're out sitting around a fire pit.
Yep.
Were you with Faye
Yep.
and Monica?
Yeah.
Okay,
What
so
did we talk about?
you're having some girl talk. We don't
Right.
even know all the details. But at some point, do you recall anything specific she said about her marriage or her husband?
Yeah, I think there was a time where he had I feel bad. There was a time where when she was pregnant and had a miscarriage, and he had cheated on her, and I mean, there were fun girl talks, but that happened. You know, there was a lot of, I mean,
What about the current state of her marriage? Her daughters were teens now, right? 15?
oh, well, at the gym, there was a lot of talk about, you know, how he was never there, and how other people's spouses would come and he wouldn't, and how she had to rush home early before the whole thing was over after she played a time or two, and she's like, I have to go. I'm like, no, don't go. You know, and then she's like, I have to go do the dishes because no one will do anything, and I do everything, and I made them dinner, and, you know, and so it's like that kind of, you know, I have to go do it because no one else will, kind of thing. And she seemed hurt that he didn't come, and because we would have playoffs, and he didn't really come, and it made her sad.
Now, do you recall ever telling any of the law enforcement about the cheating story and the miscarriage, or is that something new that you remembered?
That was, I mean, they interviewed me a long time ago, and I don't know what I remembered that. I just do. I think it felt like one of those, like, quiet girl secrets, you know, that, like, hurt. So, I don't even think it was something I don't know.
Did she ever tell you that she was unhappy in her marriage or wanted out of her marriage?
No. Oh, sorry. That was loud. No, she was like, I'm so lucky. And I remember this one time, she was like, a lot of my friends are really jealous because they get to go on all these trips. And she's like, but you know, life is just, you know, it's, you know, people are jealous. And she didn't complain about her marriage a lot. She didn't talk a lot about it, and we would try to get her to talk because I did a lot of the talking. So she didn't talk a lot about her marriage. She did, well, I don't, like it wasn't around the fire pit. I'm hesitating a lot because I'm trying to like,
I'll ask you some questions.
okay,
Okay. Had you met Fabio?
yes.
And when did you meet him?
I met him once. I was hanging out in the late afternoon and he came home and we were kind of like chilling by the fire. Well, I think we're in the kitchen. Anyway, he came in and it was like, as the girlfriend was like, oh, playtime's over. Like she had stuff to do. And then the other time I met him was at the New Year's of January 17. That New Year's Eve night.
Okay, so let's talk about the New Year's. What happened on New Year's?
Okay. So the first part of the evening, we were over at Sheila and Ricky's. They threw really good parties, and my boyfriend wanted to be there. But Monica had invited us to hers, which was kind of exciting because she is known to throw really great parties. And she had promised that she makes pasta after midnight, and she really wanted to go. They also do like a rotisserie, a pig on a whatever. And my boyfriend was Jewish, so he was not excited about being there. So we did Ricky and Sheila's first, and then we went over to Monica's, I don't know, around 11-ish. And more.
Yeah, and then you met Fabio at that
Oh,
point?
well, yeah. I mean, everyone was gathered and walking around. We'd missed the pig, so that was fine. And then we were going to sit around the fire, and we were talking about what we wanted to have happen, the next year. And I'd been fighting with my boyfriend, and so I was very frustrated. But I said that I wanted to take classes and be a yoga instructor, and my boyfriend rudely laughed and it hurt my feelings. And Fabio was like, no, I think that's really great. And it just meant a lot.
So you like Fabio?
I did.
If any of these people 69, a photograph of three individuals, three female individuals. Those three. Is that you in that photograph?
That is the pink tutu.
And who else is in the photograph?
Monica and Faye.
Now, is that from the New Year's Eve?
Yeah. It was a sequin shirt.
You mentioned before that you had gone out with them on various occasions, correct?
Yes.
Aside from this, earlier, let's go back in the year 2016, knowing that the murder occurred in January of 2017.
Right.
Friend of Marcus people sent me 2 photographs of the 3 same female individuals, 2 photographs side by side.
All right.
Do you recognize that?
Yeah, I do.
Let's look at the left photograph. Where were you guys there?
Oh, okay. So I totally remember the right one. The left one, I'm not confident in where we were.
That's okay. Do these pictures then depict the relationship that you 3 had going out,
Yeah.
lunches, things of that nature?
Yeah, well, we didn't go to lunches a lot. Monica would say that, she really wanted friends, and Faye worked, and so we wanted to build a friendship. So, but it was really hard to schedule anything. Like we'd schedule something, and Monica was like, I can't, and she'd back out, or it was just really hard to schedule stuff. So we didn't go out that often, which is why there aren't that many pictures. We went out a couple times. The one on the right with the yellow sign was for Faye's birthday.
How long do you think the time spent from when you met Monica, approximately when? Like,
The 6th, that January? I don't know.
prior to the murder, how long have you been friends with her?
I mean, a solid year. I'm
That's
not
fine.
confident if it was 15 or 16. I don't know. I'm getting nervous.
So at least a year.
Yeah. Yep.
And did you see her weekly, would you say?
I mean, we saw each other weekly at the gym. So we saw each other weekly at the gym, and then when we'd go to her house, it was easiest to do it after the gym because, and it was maybe we'd try to do it at least once a month.
At the gym, then, you guys were in the same league you testified to. If I remember, as people said, you on a photograph of the 3 female individuals at our fitness.
All right.
Is that you? Look at that.
That's me. I got thinner. Yeah. They were wary of me because I had the dreadlocks, and they liked me anyway.
So that's a picture of you guys.
I'm with the dreadlocks. Monica's in the middle. Faye is in the blue.
What about the two in the left corner right there?
Yeah, that's Sheila and Ricky.
Okay. And they played in your league too?
Yes.
All right. Now, outside of the gym, did you start, and we touched on this, on a regular basis going to the defendant's house then?
Yep.
How often would you go there?
Yeah, I would say approximately like once a month. And, you know, it might have been like twice in a month, and then we don't do it for a month. I just like that. It's like,
And when you went there, what did you do?
we would sit around the fire pit and drink wine and smoke cigarettes, and I would complain about my boyfriend, and Faye was, you know, single, and Monica had been married forever, and so, you know, just girl talk, really.
People's 57, you recognize that, right?
I do.
Who's that?
Robert
Robert, do you know his last name?
Baker.
Did he ever come to the defendant's house when you were there with Faye and the defendant?
Yes.
How many times would you say he came?
I would say maybe twice.
You remember 2 times? And this is prior to the murder of Fabio.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
Now, when he came, was it just the 4 of you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that Faye was like, and let's invite Matt, and then Matt couldn't go. So we're just trying to like make it more of like a, in my head, we were trying to make it more of like a fun group thing. And
Do you know who invited Rob?
well, it wasn't me. I want to say, because Faye kind of had a crush on him, and I don't remember if it was Monica or Faye or if we did it as a group. We might have done it as a group one of the times and been like, hey, come, it'll be fun. But I don't know.
These approximate 2 times that you recall that Robert Baker came to the house while you and Faye and the defendant were there, was Fabio home?
No.
Did you ever see Baker drink?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him drunk
No.
or passing out?
No.
Anything of that nature?
No.
Did any of you guys, you, Faye, Baker, in your presence ever like spend the night there at the defendant's house after drinking too much?
No, that was not the vibe. It was very like responsible, and she had kids, and they had dance, and they had school in the morning. And Robert had a girlfriend down in Southern California that he would leave first. He's like, I have to do this drive down to Southern California where my girlfriend is, and we're like, oh no, don't go. And then
Do you know if he actually had a girlfriend?
no, well, I didn't at the time. I mean, I just assumed he was telling the truth. But later, Monica was like, don't tell Faye, but he's just saying that because he's not interested in her. And I was like, oh.
Okay. So after that, when you were there then, did you ever spend time, the 4 of you, at your house or Faye's house?
We went to my house for sure for my birthday party, and it was a poker tournament, and, oh, yes.
Okay. Did Robert go to that house?
Yes.
Your house?
Yep.
So the 4 of you were together at your house?
I mean, it was a big group. It's my birthday party.
Okay. Did you ever notice anything unusual during this time frame, and this is prior to the murder, going on between the defendant and Baker?
No.
Did she ever tell you when you talked about Faye having a crush that something was going on between her and Baker?
No.
Did you have any idea?
No.
Did you consider yourself during this time frame to be good friends with the defendant?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I did.
Did you ever see any touching or looks between them or anything of that nature?
Mm-mm.
And that's a no?
That is a no.
Okay. What about now, you said at Faye's house, you got together at your house. When you were at, well, let me back up. At your house, did Fabio come?
No.
Did Fabio ever socialize with you girls and Baker when you guys were all together?
No. No.
Do you know where he was?
I mean, I was just about to say, I think he was probably out of town. He traveled a lot. So he wasn't there a lot.
Is that what Monica, the defendant, told you?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Did you see her kids at the house?
When?
Any of the times
Ever?
you went over there?
I mean, yeah. Yes.
Did you know her kids?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And what are their names?
Jessica and Isabella.
And how did you know them?
Well, they would come to the gym, And I was really friendly with Jessica. We took some yoga classes together. And when I'd pop over to Monica's house, you know, they'd be in and out. I'm talking about like if there was some school thing they were in, and their schedule was busy. But like, yeah, we saw each other a lot at the gym. Well, a lot. A lot. I say that because I like to think that I go to the gym more than I do, but I was going to the gym more then.
Now, during this time frame, you were friends with Elyse. I'm sorry, not yourself. You're friends with Faye and Monica. Were you
Yeah.
equally good friends with both of them?
Yeah, I was.
And
I mean,
what about Baker?
okay. So no, he was like the cool camp counselor is kind of how I felt about him because, like I said, at racquetball, it felt like, you know, it was the Three Musketeers and we were joking around, and it just felt like camp. It was just fun, and he really kind of kept everything together. So I felt like he was like the cool camp counselor guy. In my head, that's really how it was. So like if there was an event or something, I'd want him to be invited because that is cool.
Did you know at that time frame prior to the murder anything about the background of Robert Baker?
Eventually.
When you say eventually, I'm talking about before the murder. Did you find out
Yeah.
some things about him that caused you concern?
Concern, gossip. I mean, it was gossipy. Like, one morning my boyfriend had said that he had found a sex video with Robert. And so, I mean, it was kind of juicy. And then there were the whispers about it, like, oh, did you know he did a sex thing? And, did you watch it? And, I mean, it's just gossipy kind of stuff. So, I mean, I wasn't in a world of concern. It was just kind of, again, I just felt like a big kid playing. And I just...
When you found out this information about, when you were saying a sex thing, you're talking about porn?
Yes.
Did you ever tell the defendant about any of this?
Oh, 100%.
Why'd you tell her that?
Because it was juicy gossip.
And what did you tell her?
That Robert was in a sex video.
And what was her reaction?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to go with shocked. I mean, it felt satisfying. I mean, I don't remember exactly what her reaction was, but it felt appropriate to someone sharing gossip with you. Like, she was like, oh, no, kind of ish.
Did she appear to care, though? Did it change any of her actions around Baker?
No, I don't remember our actions being changed.
At this time, prior to the murder, did you know that he was a 296 registrant?
I'm trying to remember when. I don't think I knew that until after.
After the murder?
Yeah. Yes.
I want to talk about the... Take a break. Do we keep going? I just realized...
It's not quite 3.
I thought it was 3. Okay. The day of January 23rd, 2017. Do you remember that day?
Say the date
The
again.
day
sorry.
of the murder, January
Oh, yeah.
23rd, 2017.
Yep.
Do you remember that day?
Monday.
Remember
Yes,
that
I
day?
do.
Did you get notified then that something had happened at the Sementilli house?
Yes.
What happened?
So I was just pulling into I remember this I was pulling into the Ralph's parking lot because I needed to get creamer for my boyfriend for tomorrow, was a thing. And I got a text message from Monica saying, please come over, I need you. And so.
Do you know what time that was about?
Yeah, about around 4:23, I remember. I don't know why I remember
4:23?
the 3. I don't remember why I remember the 3, but that's what I remember.
Could have been later, after 5 sometime.
I don't know why. Yeah. It's before I went in to get the creamer.
So let me ask you this.
And it was in the 20s. It was 4, was it 5? Was it 4? Was it 5? Was it 4? I mean, clearly.
Well, at any rate, what happened on that call? I'm sorry, that text.
Yeah, sorry. Well, she said, please come over, I need you.
Did you respond?
Yes. I don't remember exactly what I texted, but something along the lines of, I'm coming, I'll be there. I don't know. I was shocked that she had reached out. I know I called my boyfriend and told him that I was going to do that, and I never went and got the creamer. Sorry. Oh, did I not answer the question?
It's okay, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take a breath.
Yep.
Okay. You did state before the objection that you were shocked that she'd reached out. Why were
I
you
was shocked that
Hold
she
on.
reached.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay. Why were you shocked that she texted you, I need you?
It's overruled.
I will tell you that morning. So I'm really not great at looking at Instagram a lot, but I was trying to get better at it. And that morning I went on and I saw that Monica had a party that I had not been invited to. And I was very frustrated with the friendship because I felt like Faye and I were reaching out a lot and we were getting turned down more than being accepted. And now she had a party and I wasn't invited. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm trying to put this much energy into this friendship. I was really offended and hurt. And so that morning I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to try in this friendship anymore. So when she texted me that afternoon, I was like, oh. And I was like, da, 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 because those are kind of like magic words. I need you is like a thing. So that's why I was surprised.
So you testified that she had been reaching out, or you had been reaching out a lot. What do you mean by that? Prior to this text?
Yeah, well, we were trying to make dates to like go hang out and go get a glass of wine and spend some time together.
And would she go with you and Faye?
No, it would usually get either it got too complicated to schedule or it would get canceled.
Did she tell you what she was doing during the times when she turned you down?
I mean, there were always, the mom things, I've got to do something with the kids. It's not going to work right now. I'm really busy, like mom stuff.
Did she ever tell you that the times that when she's telling you no, that she was hanging out with Robert Baker?
Did she tell me that? No.
It's overruled.
Go ahead.
No.
All right, so you get this text, and then what happened when you got that text? You answered.
I answered and said, I'm on my way.
Did you ask her what's going on?
Well, not immediately. I called my boyfriend and said, hey, I'm going to be late because I'm going to drive to Monica's because she said this. And he was like, well, you should call her and make sure. Sorry.
Explain as witness to subsequent conduct. It's overruled.
Go ahead.
So he was like, you should call her and make sure everything's like cool. And so I called her and there was no answer. So I was just like, screw it, and I'll just go.
How long would you say once you got that text from her it took you to get to the Sementilli house?
It took about, it was in the 20s, and I got there at about the 50s. So half hour.
Okay.
Traffic,
Now,
Woodland House.
going back, can you describe then the scene when you got there? You pulled up on the street, and what happened?
So there was a fire truck. Okay, so her house is on the left side, and I pulled to the right, and there was a fire truck a little ahead. And they came over to my car, and they're like, can we help you? Why are you here? And I was like, well, my friend, and I pulled out my text. I said, my friend lives here, and she asked me to come over, and I showed him the text, and like, okay. And then a lady came out of the house, and I later learned was Deborah. I think that's her name. And she was like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, my friend Monica lives there, and I showed her the text, and like she asked me to come over.
Do you have,
Or after recess for 15 minutes. The admonition applies. Be back here in 15 minutes. Present, all counsel, present, jury, and officers are present. Moments ago, I just received a notification. As some of you may know, there are some protests going on, and they may continue to be going on. We don't know. The only thing that the notification said is, as far as coming and going and getting the parking, act accordingly. In other words, plan ahead, be here early. I looked out the window, I see nothing. But I don't know how long this is going to go on for the rest of the week or not, but you're warned. My kid got here over the weekend, and we didn't talk much about that. My kid's a judge, and got caught in the building for a couple hours. Everything's okay. Just don't be concerned. Ma'am, you're still under oath, and you may continue with your direct.
all right, so we were talking about when you arrived at the Sementilli residence. Okay?
Yep.
So you got there, you were greeted outside by someone that you know by the name of Deborah now. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you know her before?
No.
Okay. So at some point then, were you allowed into the house?
Yes.
And where was the defendant?
She was in a chair in the dining room in a line with her 3 daughters.
Okay.
Or 2 daughters, sorry.
Now, were you allowed to go up to her and stay with her?
Yeah.
So at some point then, were you removed by law enforcement from the house?
Yes, at some point they asked us to leave the residence and go sit outside.
And who was that then? It was you, the defendant, her daughters? Mm-hmm. And was there anybody else?
Well, there was Deborah.
And Deborah.
Yeah.
So where did you go?
We sat on the curb.
And what happened out there? Anything?
I think everyone was processing everything. Monica was hysterical, and I just was like a human teddy bear person. Yeah, so it was, there was, I mean.
When you say she was hysterical, I want to ask you a specific question.
Sure.
Did you see any tears?
No. I mean, I wasn't, I mean, I was, I don't, it was a lot of, like that.
Okay. Did you see any tears?
I don't think I was looking. I would
Nothing that you recall?
no.
Okay. So that night then, did you spend the rest of the night with her, or did you leave at some point then?
I was there until about 11ish.
Okay, and then
I want to say. Could be 10ish. I think it's 11ish. I was there for a really long time.
And then at some point you went home?
Yes.
And do you know where the defendant and the girls went?
I believe they were going to go spend the night at Deborah's.
So when's the next time then that you went back to the Sementilli residence?
The next day.
Okay, and how often did you go back after that?
Every day that week.
Was anyone else there when you went back every day that next week?
Yes.
Who else was there?
Let's see. I mean, Deborah was there, and I can't say if her husband. There were a lot of people. There were Fabio's best friend from work and his Slavic girlfriend, because we talked a lot. And I think there were some other people from his work, and her mother was there at one point. It felt, that's all that I recall mostly, but it was like a group. It was a lot of people, same people every day. Some came, some left.
Now,
come
during
back.
those next 4 or 5 days when you went regularly, and the question just is, do you recall seeing any tears during that week, like tears coming down the face on the defendant?
No.
Okay, now, did you attend the wake or the memorial that was held in the backyard by the fire pit where Fabio was killed?
That night? No, I went to no, I didn't go to that.
Did you then go to another memorial a few days later on January 29th?
The Sunday morning, I think it was a Sunday morning, the one at the
At a funeral home?
yes,
Did
I
you
went
go
to
to that?
that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
After that, then, subsequent to the murder, did you reach out to the defendant in the next couple months, checking on her, seeing how she was, things of that nature?
Yeah, 100%.
Did you see her on a regular basis? Let's talk about the month following the murder. Did you see her pretty regularly?
No.
Did you talk to her regularly?
I tried, but no, it was more texting.
Okay, now during that next month or two, when you were going to the house that first week as well as texting, did she ever voice any fear to you about living in the home where her husband was murdered?
No.
Did she ever voice any fear to you about her girls not being safe in the home where their dad was murdered?
No. Hey, can I ask a question?
That's loaded. I don't know. What do you want to ask?
Well, I just wanted to go back for a minute with if I talked to her regularly, and I said no, I just texted. I just wanted to expound on that if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Because I wanted to talk to her a lot. But it felt weird. Because I felt like sorry, this is weird. I felt like she was associating me with what happened. And I really wanted to be a really good friend. And so my goal was to call her at least once a week. Oh, I thought I was responding. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Mel. Just
All
fine.
right.
So I tried, but I just texted because it was easier.
Okay. So during that time, she never expressed to you any fear for her or her daughters
No.
as far as being in the house?
No.
Did she ever talk to you about leaving the house and going to stay somewhere else during that time frame?
No.
Did she ever talk to you about getting new security cameras or safety for the house?
No, she didn't.
During the next couple of months, did she ever talk to you about who could have killed Fabio?
No.
Never brought that up?
No.
What was she talking to you about?
Was, like, why she wasn't getting the insurance, why it was taking so long. She didn't understand why she couldn't have her phone back. She was really worried about money.
So when she was worried about money, specifically with insurance, what was she telling you about that?
She didn't understand why it was taking so long. And she was frustrated about it taking so long.
Prior to this, had she ever talked to you about any of the finances within their marriage?
No.
Did she ever call the insurance companies in your presence?
Yes.
And what do you recall?
I recall we were supposed to go out that evening and I got into a fight with my boyfriend. And so I wanted some,
World Council.
sorry, it was a Saturday. And I wanted to hang out with a girlfriend. So I said, can I just come over earlier? So it was, I don't know, but around noonish. Apparently not good with time. But yeah, so I showed up and she was like, sorry, I need to make this call. And she was on the phone with the insurance company. And I was trying to not listen. And then there was some talk, I want to say with the detectives, the police, because she wanted the phone and she didn't understand why things were taking so long. And she was stressed about how she was going to pay for things and why is this, she was very stressed.
Would you say that out of, since the murder occurred, the main topic that you shared with her, was it about insurance money?
Yeah.
It's overruled.
That was the main topic?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, were you aware that she bought a new Mustang?
Yes.
Was this during the same time frame that she was complaining about not having any money?
Yes. Yes.
When she bought that Mustang, did she show it to you?
Yes.
Did she seem happy about it?
Sure. Yes.
What did she tell you about that Mustang?
That Fabio would have wanted her to have it.
Okay. Did she do anything to make the car look better?
The windows were tinted.
Did she tell you that she went and took the car to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So she was talking about sprucing up her new car to you.
Overruled.
Yes.
Okay.
She was really excited about the car.
She was excited about the car.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, during this time frame too, as far as, did you start seeing, okay, and we're talking now the next couple months following Fabio's murder, did you see a change in the Monica Sementilli that you thought you knew?
I did.
What was that?
It was that Saturday when I went over there, after the phone calls and stuff, because I really wanted to talk about, my situation with my boyfriend. And the girls came down. We were sitting outside, and they were like, Mom, we're hungry. And, before, she was like, always whatever, getting everything, that was her thing. And she was like, yeah, you're going to have to figure it out. You know what to do. And then they're like, yeah, no, I think we're going to go out. And then she said, grain of salt. She said, they're just going to have to learn how to do things themselves now. Things are changing. And that was weird to me.
Had she ever talked about her girls that way to you before?
No, that was the whole thing at racquetball. She's like, I do everything for them. I have to go home and do the dishes. And it was like, she took pride in that. And it was completely different.
When you were saying Saturday, do you know the murder occurred January 27th, 2017? Are we talking February, March?
March.
Okay. So anywhere from what? I don't know what I said, but if
So
the murder
January
occurred
27th?
January 23rd, 2017.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was the March time frame.
Yes.
Do you know if it's early March, late March, if you know?
I would say closer to mid,
Okay.
like before the 15th. I want to say it's like the 12th, but
Somewhere between around
Around.
7 weeks after the murder.
yes,
Somewhere
yeah.
in there. Okay. Other than that, you saw the change with her and her daughters. She was talking to you a lot about the insurance. Did you see any other changes in her that you noticed?
Honestly, I didn't see her much after that.
Okay. Did you ever go out with her?
No,
You never went out with her again?
no.
Did she talk to you about going out?
Monica did not talk to me about going out.
Did she ever talk to you about going out to a bar and getting dressed up, anything like that?
I heard about that with her and Faye. I think Faye told.
This thing.
Okay. Did she tell you what her plans were for going forward? Let's start with like work. Did she tell you what any of her plans were?
She did.
What did she tell you?
It was that Saturday, and she was saying how her and the girls had Fabio's, what do you call it when he invented something? I forget what that's called, but when he creates something and they have no one else can do it. Anyway, they had that for some hair tools that he had developed, and her and the girls were going to do a business in his name. And then her and Robert, she wanted to get the girls set up in like a place, like a condo, and then she was going to travel, and Robert was going to give her a job, and they were going to work together, and she was going to travel, and then when she came back, she could stay at the girls' place because she really wasn't sure where she wanted to travel. And I want to say that she, I can't say it exactly, so I'm not going to.
So when she's telling you these plans about working with Robert, and that's Robert Baker, did she tell you that she was going to travel with him?
She said they were going to travel.
Okay. Did she tell you who they were?
In the context, it was clearly her and Robert.
At this point now, and we're at, is it still mid-March?
Yes.
Somewhere around 7 weeks after her husband was murdered, did she ever, she's talking about plans to travel with Robert. Did she tell you that she was involved with him romantically now at this point?
No, she was like, he's so great, he's going to give me a job, and she was really enthusiastic about it.
Did she seem happy?
Yeah, well, she was stressed about the money, but she was excited about her new ventures. She seemed really excited about that.
Was she, during those months since Fabio was killed, was she ever talking about Fabio?
No. No.
Was she talking about missing him?
No.
Would you say, from your perspective as one of her good friends now, by a month or two after, did she appear to be grieving the death of her husband?
So,
Did she appear to be grieving?
Yes, the death of her husband.
What I saw on Instagram, but not personally.
Okay, so let's talk about Instagram. You were on Instagram and Facebook during that time frame.
Yeah, again, I was trying to get better at it. Yep.
Were you able to view the postings that the defendant made during the timing of from when her Fabio was murdered in the next few months? Were you able to see those Instagrams?
Yes.
And what did you see on those Instagrams? What types of posts was she doing?
Oh my gosh, they were heart-wrenching. I felt so sad. It was like the love of my life. Love is saying goodbye. I mean, it was just like her heart was aching on those posts.
On the post they were making, when you spoke to her directly, did she reiterate anything that she was posting?
No, it was a lot of, stress about the insurance and the money and what she was going to do.
So, when you saw those posts, did you find that unusual? When you saw those posts about missing her husband, again, just to confirm, those were not anything of the topics of what she was talking to you as her good friend about?
Correct.
One moment. After the culmination of a few months passed, did the defendant ever, during the pendency of your friendship, tell you that she was involved with Robert Baker?
No, she did not.
Would you characterize the defendant, Monica Sementilli, as a liar?
At that time.
One moment.
Now.
No, one
Now?
moment.
Yes.
Ma'am, hold on a second. What's the objection?
Relevance, argument.
Sustain on both.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Bleuel.
Good afternoon.
Is Elyse the way you pronounce your first name?
It is, thank you.
Okay. Is it okay if I refer to you by Elyse?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
I would jump to that. This is a courtroom. Let's keep it formal.
Of course, Your Honor. Ms. Bleuel, am I correct that if Fabio was killed in January of 2017, that the first time the police ever spoke to you about this case was over 3.5 years later?
Correct.
The police never interviewed you,
They
correct?
did not. Correct.
During that time, even though you were with Monica that first night when Fabio was killed, correct?
Yes. That is correct.
And am I right, it's been, if that was July of 2020, it's been almost 5 years since that interview occurred. Is that
Correct.
correct? And would it be fair to say, Ms. Bleuel, that your memory about what you observed, what you saw, what you heard, would have been much better back in July of 2020 than it would be closer to the events than it would be now?
Are you asking me if my memory was better in 2020 than it would be today?
Yes, of events you had observed in 2017.
I think in the scope, there were things that I wouldn't remember today that I would remember then, but there are things that I remember then that I very much remember today.
Okay. And Ms. Bleuel, is it also true that when you were first interviewed by the police, Ms. Sementilli had already been accused and arrested for allegedly being involved in the killing of her husband?
I believe that all of the interviews were after she was arrested.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear. Ms. Bleuel, you met Monica for the first time at LA Fitness, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were already playing racquetball at the time. You had started when Monica joined the league, when she started playing racquetball and you first met her.
What I was doing, I hadn't made the D list until the night she came. I was playing very badly, and so I needed the pre thing for 2 terms before I could make the D list. So,
Okay.
but I met her the day that the D list that it all started
Okay.
in January.
And Monica joined, I understand from what you said, and she didn't know how to play. She was being taught how to play.
No,
correct?
that's not true. She was just on the D League, and then later she was practicing and taking lessons.
Okay, and who was she taking lessons from?
My understanding was Robert.
Okay, you saw Robert playing with her frequently?
I didn't go to the gym during the day, so I wasn't there when they were doing it, but I was told. I think she even mentioned it, and other people said it.
Okay, and I think, Ms. Bleuel, you also said that Monica got much better very quickly?
Yeah, she was a monster.
Okay. She learned and she improved?
Yes.
Okay. And from her playing you and your girlfriend Faye, that's Faye Fariba?
Yeah.
Okay. You all became fast friends.
Yeah. That was,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And you referred to the three of you as the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Okay. And you and Monica saw each other mostly at the gym, not outside the gym. Is that right?
More often at the gym, and then yeah. So that was more.
And that was in January of 2016. Is that correct?
That's when it started. Yeah.
Okay. And it was over that next year that you're talking about.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And you told us, I think, that you would only see her outside of the gym maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks. Is that fair?
That's when we would see each other. We would try, but it would take that while.
Okay.
Long.
And I think you said she was hard to nail down about dates to get together.
Yes.
And she was always asked that it be at her home where you get together. She wanted it at her house.
Yeah, it was the easiest.
Okay.
Those were the after the gym ones. Yeah, it was
Okay,
just easier at her house.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay.
But I think you mentioned 1 or 2 times you went to an establishment or a restaurant or something, but mostly when you got together outside of the gym, these once every 3 or 4 weeks, it would be at
hangout
Monica's
ones.
home.
Yeah, the hangout ones were at her house, and if we went out, it was usually for a thing.
Okay. And you got to observe Monica. You got to see her,
Yeah.
right? You got
Yes.
to really know her.
Yeah, I thought so.
And you previously, I think you told the police that what you observed was that Monica was the kind of person you saw could put together a dinner party for 20 in an hour, I think you said?
Yeah, well, in 2 hours, she could put together a big dinner party. Yeah, yes.
So you saw that she enjoyed cooking and preparing meals, and I think you said she hosted dinners in that light?
Yes.
Okay. And you also saw her as a mom around her girls.
Yeah,
You got to know Jessica,
I did.
and you got to see how she interacted with the girls, how she cared for the
Yeah,
girls.
she was a good Italian mom.
Good Italian mom.
Yep.
And when she talked about her husband, Fabio, and when you saw her with Fabio, they were affectionate. And I think you described at one point the one time or 1 or 2 times you saw them, she was actually sitting with him on his chair. Is that right?
That was on the New Year's Eve thing when we were around the fire. That was the only time. Other than that, they weren't really affectionate. Like, he had come in from work, she was doing something. So the only time that was around the fire circle at New Year's Eve.
Okay, I think you said earlier that you'd only seen them together twice. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And once you described you all were in the kitchen, the girls were in the kitchen, and Fabio came home. And then another time you're describing is,
The New Year's Eve.
and that was, when you say New Year's Eve, Miss Bleuel, that was December 31st, 2016, right?
17. It was right before he was killed.
Okay. So that would be the day before January 1, which would be December 31st, 2016. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
Okay.
And you all were sitting around the fire pit on the patio of their home, correct?
For New Year's Eve?
Yes.
Yes.
And you were with your boyfriend,
Yes.
correct? And everybody was gathered around that fire pit area by the pool?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said at the time that Monica was sitting with Fabio on the arm of his chair.
Yeah. Besides the hostessing, but when she was there, she was, on the arm of his chair.
Okay. And when you were interviewed back in July of 2020, you were specifically asked by a detective did Monica ever complain about Fabio? And you said, that's the thing, never. Her marriage was so great. Were you telling the truth at that time?
I mean, I don't ever lie on purpose.
Okay.
So that was probably my takeaway then.
Okay,
I have had time to think about stuff.
okay. And you've heard about this case, right, in the media?
I have heard about it, yeah.
Okay. And you've actually participated in media television show interviews?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Bleuel, during that year where you all were the Three Musketeers and you were, it's fair to say you were friends with Monica, correct?
That was my interpretation of our relationship, yeah.
Okay. You heard from Monica that Fabio traveled a lot. Is that
Yes.
right? And you heard that on a number of occasions?
Yes,
Okay. And you didn't see Fabio every time you were over the house, correct?
Correct, yeah.
You only saw him once or twice?
correct.
Okay. And you mostly saw Monica once a week playing racquetball?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I think you talked about before Robert Baker and his role in the racquetball league, correct?
Yes.
And you told us that Robert Baker was the one who orchestrated the racquetball, correct?
Could you explain to me what you mean by orchestrated?
It was a word you used,
Oh.
so I'm just asking.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're quoting me, the way I interpret it, like I said earlier, was that he kind of ran it.
Okay. And I think you previously said that Rob Baker was like a teacher, like the cool teacher.
Yeah, or a camp counselor kind of vibe, yeah.
Okay, he was very much in charge of
Like
the
he was
league.
the, yeah,
I think you described him as very much an authority figure.
yeah, I mean, that, like, but not like a cool camp counselor or a cool teacher, you know, where they've got stuff to do, but they were fun while they were doing it.
Okay,
Is how I felt about it.
okay. And you also described him previously as strict. He ran the schedule, he put together the games, he was teaching.
He was very efficient.
Okay. And you also described him as having some kind of sexuality, masculinity, when you talked about what you observed of him.
Yes, he did. He was very muscular, and he was wearing the shorts, and yeah, he was, yeah.
Tell me what you meant when you said there was a sexual thing about Rob Baker.
How to describe that? I mean, so you want me to describe how I thought he was sexual or sensual or
Yes.
hot?
Yes.
I mean, he was muscular, and he looked good in his clothes, and I don't know, he had this confidence about him, I guess.
In control.
Confidence. I didn't get in control. I mean, I hear it, but I got that he was confident and he was doing what he needed to do, and that was kind of hot.
That's fine. You thought it was hot.
Well, I mean, I wasn't attracted to him, but you could admire, and yeah.
You described him as military.
Yep.
No nonsense.
He had that kind of, when it was time to, I mean, there was some nonsense, but, because he would laugh at a joke, right? And so it was fun to play, but, you know, it was like, you got to get on the court, but he was nice about it. I mean, yes, he was efficient, and he had that kind of military thing going on, and he was muscly, and, yeah, I mean, you could tell that he knew how to keep things going, which I appreciated.
I think you described him at the time as very alpha male.
Yes,
Objection, Your Honor.
I did.
I'm sorry?
He was very alpha. He was very.
No, 1 minute, please.
Sorry.
Question to assume her for evidence
Totally.
and the sitting testimony.
Counsel's, and that's what objections are. But that wasn't your objection. Little untimely.
Ms. Bleuel, you also described earlier your relationship with someone named Paula McCullum.
Yes,
Do you remember that?
I do. Well, yeah, I remember Paula.
And Paula McCullum also played racquetball with the league,
She did.
showing you what's been marked as People's 67. This is Paula McCullum?
Yeah.
Okay. And you thought Paula McCullum, I think you said she was fun.
She was so sweet because she started at the D League, but she was better than me. And then she quickly went up to the next one, but she was always really sweet because.
And what was her relationship, if you knew, with Robert Baker?
Yeah, I know that he had also trained her a little bit.
How did you know that?
I think she had said it when we were, playing because she was like, encouraging me. She's like, "Don't feel bad. I've been practicing in Robert," something along those lines. I want to say.
Okay. If you previously told the police that that Baker was BFFs with Paula, would that have been true? What your observation was at the time?
Could you say that question again for me?
If you previously told the police that Robert Baker was BFFs with Sean and Paula McCullum, that they were BFFs with Baker,
Okay.
was that what you observed?
That is not what I observed. That's what I learned after they were arrested, because I was really shocked and sad about Monica, and she called me and she was really shocked about Robert, and we both were kind of commiserating about how duped we felt and how shocked we were. And it was interesting that I didn't realize that her and Sean had such a relationship with Robert. And she knew I was really, I thought, close with Monica. And so when they were arrested, we were like, what? So that was how she explained it.
Very good. Okay. And at the time you had this conversation with Paula McCullum, had she told you that she had had an affair with
No.
Robert Baker?
She did not.
She did not.
No.
And had she told you at the time she had this conversation about Mr. Baker's arrest that she had actually rented a car for Mr. Baker, which he used in the commission of this killing? Did she tell you that?
You're saying all this is assuming facts like that.
So stand on the second ground.
Ms. Bleuel, you told us about coming to Monica's home the night Fabio was killed earlier, correct? And you had said that you received a text asking you to please come over, correct?
Yes.
Do you still have that text?
No.
What, did you delete that text? What happened to the text?
No, I ended up, well, I didn't know it was, no, I ended up getting another phone, and I looked, I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay. So it would be fair to say that you're not sure the exact words in the text that
Oh, no,
were
I
sent.
feel like that's like the one thing I do know.
Okay. So you think the text said, "I need you, please come over."
Yes.
Okay.
Because the I
And-
need you thing is a thing for me.
Understood, understood. And I think you said, although you were upset that you had learned that Monica had had a birthday party, that I guess earlier in the month that you had not been invited to, you went right over.
Yes, my feelings were really hurt that morning. I was really annoyed. and my feelings were hurt. But when she said she needed me, it was like, yeah, of course.
And when you went over that night, you were really the person that spent the most time throughout the whole evening with Monica,
That's very
correct?
true.
I think you said you got there even before the police had arrived?
Yeah, there was just one fire truck.
Okay.
And Deborah.
And you went into the dining room where Monica and the girls and Deborah Obad were?
Well, Deborah was around, but Monica and the girls were like, their chairs were lined up like this, and they were just sitting in a row. It was, yeah.
Okay. And you got there at those earliest moments, and you were with Monica. I think you said, or tell me if this is true, that throughout the night you were hugging her. You were, I think you described yourself as the consoler in chief.
Yeah, well, I was the human teddy bear. Like, I was just consoling, yeah.
Okay. And at some point, you all were asked to leave the home outside of the dining room and go outside, correct?
Yes.
And you had to sit on the curb for a while?
Yeah.
Was it a while?
Yes.
Okay. And it was cold?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point, you were taken over to a neighbor's house, is that correct?
Yeah, across the street.
Okay, and that's where you spent the rest of the evening
Yes.
with Monica and the girls?
Yes.
And Deborah Obad was there for parts of it, not parts
I
of it?
didn't, she was doing a lot of the phone calls, and she wasn't really around. She was managing, letting people know, was my understanding.
Okay,
Our adjournment at this time until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. As usual, as the admonition, you discuss this case among yourselves. If anyone else with a form expressing any opinions of the cause is finally submitted to you.
thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Bleuel.
Good morning.
Ms. Bleuel, when we left off yesterday, we were speaking about the night that Fabio was killed.
Okay.
And you recall that night, correct?
Yes, texted, yeah. By Monica, is that your question? I was called?
No, you recall what you did that
Oh, I
night.
recall, yes.
Okay. And you were, I think you testified yesterday, you came to the house after you received a text from Monica. You got to the house and stayed with Monica and the girls, Jessica and Bella, and Deborah Obad was there, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then you at some point were asked to move outside by the curb, and you stayed at the curb, correct?
Yes.
And then eventually, around 8 o'clock that night, you all moved over across the street to a neighbor's home, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that neighbor's home, you were in a particular room of the house?
Yes.
Where were you?
Me personally?
Yes.
Okay. First, I was in like a den area with Monica, and then when they wanted to interview Monica, I went out to the living room with the girls.
Okay. And when you were first in that den area with Monica, were you in the den with Monica from the time you got to the house until the police interviewed Monica?
Yes.
Okay. And was that den small, large?
It was mollusk, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
And how long were you in that den with Monica? If you got over there around 8 o'clock, I think you said you left at 11?
Yeah, about there. It was
Okay.
late. I don't know what time we got to the neighbor's house, but it was, I don't know.
Okay. Were you there for 10 minutes, 2 hours?
It was several hours.
Several
I don't know how
hours.
many.
And Ms. Bleuel, while you were in this den with Monica, was anybody else in there with you?
There was one other man. I didn't know who he was.
Okay. He was in the den with you for those hours?
For a while.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
And did anybody else come in or out while you were in that den with Monica before she was interviewed by the police and you say you went to the living room?
Just through the door, or like came in and sat with us?
Came in and was with you, talking to you or interacting with you?
No one came in and interacted with us. I mean, people would pop their head in and be like, do you need anything? But like, not a substantial conversation, no.
Okay. And you mentioned in your testimony yesterday what Deborah Obad was doing. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And when you got over to the house, what was Deborah Obad doing, if you know?
When I got there, I don't know what she was doing.
Okay.
But when we were moved outside, she was contacting people, family, work people, about what happened.
Okay.
That's about all I know.
She was on the telephone?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say she was contacting work people, she was, I think you described her as the doer. Is that
Yep.
how you described her?
Yes, yes.
And she was making calls. And was she interacting with you and Monica, or you were just with Monica at that time?
She would come over to where we were and say, I've contacted so-and-so, they're going to work on a flight, that sort of thing, and then she'd go off again.
Okay, so she would periodically tell you what she was doing, but you weren't telling her what to do. Monica wasn't telling her what to do.
I wasn't telling her what to do, and I mean, I think Monica might have said, like, have you, called so-and-so, I think there was that kind of back and forth, but
Okay.
I don't recall specifically if Monica told her to do anything.
Okay. And yesterday, you said that you were consoling Monica.
Yes.
Were you hugging her?
Yes. My arm would be around her. Yeah.
Were you giving her tissues? Or did she have tissues?
She had tissues.
Okay.
Sure.
And during these hours in the room, Monica was sobbing at different stages when you were in the room with her, correct?
Well, she was more like hyperventilating, like that. Yes, that's what she was doing.
But she was sobbing also.
Could you clarify sobbing? I mean, I feel like I've represented what I noticed.
Well, how would you define sobbing?
Sustained.
Ms. Bleuel, you were interviewed in this case back on July 15th, 2020, correct?
Yes.
The detectives came to your house and they sat down with you for a couple of hours, correct?
Yep.
And Detective Roberts and Detective Klotz asked you about the case, correct?
Yes.
Asked you specifically what you were doing that night with Monica?
Yes.
And you were telling the detectives the truth, correct?
At that point, yeah, everything that I thought of, I said.
Okay. And that interview was recorded and a transcript was made, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Bleuel, in that interview, you told Detective Klotz and Detective Roberts, for court's reference, page 27 of the prosecution's transcript, line 13-14, she was just sobbing. I swear. She didn't form words for days.
That's correct.
And that was the truth, correct?
Okay.
Yes. Page 26, line 13. You told them that Monica was just sobbing.
Okay. So what I was thinking of when I said that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sorry.
not?
I'm
Okay.
not asking you what you were thinking
Okay.
about. But you told the detectives that Monica was sobbing.
Right.
Thank you. And then you testified yesterday, Ms. Bleuel, that Monica, you were with Monica all throughout the rest of that week. The next day you came morning through night, correct?
Yes.
You would get there about what time?
About 10 or 11.
And you would stay till when?
About between 6 and 8.
So you were there full days into the evening,
Yes.
and you were there also in the nighttime?
I mean, yeah, depending, between 6
6
and 8.
and 8,
Yeah.
okay. And I think you said there were people coming in and out
Yes.
that were also there all
Yes.
week. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. And yesterday, Ms. Stagel, the prosecutor, asked you about whether Monica ever voiced any concern about being in the house. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And you said she hadn't, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you were in the house that week. Fabio was killed late afternoon, early evening on Monday, correct?
Yes.
In the house.
Yes.
You were in the house that night, correct?
Yes.
You came back to the house that next morning,
Yes.
stayed through the evening hours, correct?
Yes.
And you were there every day that week, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Bleuel, am I correct? You never voiced any concern about your safety in the house that week, correct?
Totally.
No.
And I think you told the detectives that nobody was scared, correct?
Correct.
And that the theory of the police at the time was that there had been a burglary, correct? If you know, your understanding.
Could you repeat the question?
That your understanding was that everyone thought there had been a burglary. You thought that the operating belief at the time was that there had been a burglary.
That's what they were reporting on the news, so we were talking about it.
Okay. And you had even given an interview on the news, correct?
I did.
The night that Fabio was killed.
The next morning, I was coming with a deli plate.
And then you later gave an interview to the 48 Hours television show.
Yes.
Okay. And you testified yesterday, Ms. Bleuel, that after that week, you really didn't have much contact with Monica again. Is that fair?
That is fair. I texted her like every week for sure, and I tried to reach out, but yeah, we didn't really connect.
She didn't communicate with you.
No. It would me reach out to her.
And I think you said there was only one occasion after that you got together, you had gone over to her house, correct?
Yes.
And that was one time.
Yes.
You thought it was in March.
Yes.
I think you said it was a Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. And then after that, you didn't see her after that?
No.
And that was between March and when Monica was arrested in June? Never
Correct.
saw her?
Correct.
And never really got much response from her texting, correct?
Correct.
So when Miss Stagel yesterday asked you during that entire period, did Monica ever talk to you about Fabio or missing Fabio? You didn't really see Monica or talk to her other than that Saturday in March, correct?
In person, no, but I didn't receive anything on text or when we did talk on the phone, which was rare. It didn't come up ever.
Okay.
But I
And
think
how many
so.
times did you talk to her on the phone?
I can't say completely true. I don't know.
Why?
I mean, I can give you less than 10 times more than 5.
And when she asked you, Ms. Stagel asked you if you saw her grieving after Fabio was killed, between the time the time you saw her that week
Right.
and when she was arrested and some months later. And you said you never saw her grieving during that period, correct?
Yeah, I was not around her. Yes.
You were not around her, correct?
Correct.
So
So it
if
was-
she had been grieving, you wouldn't have seen it.
I would not have seen it with my eyes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Along the lines of grieving, was she telling you during the months that followed, the first couple months, that she was going out?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about that?
She said that she liked to go out and dress up and have guys hit on her.
And when she said that, then, does that factor into your opinion that you didn't feel as though she was grieving?
Yes.
Why so?
It didn't seem like she would. It just seemed odd that someone who was grieving really liked having other men hit on her and get thrilled. You know, it just seemed weird.
And this was shortly after Fabio had been murdered?
Yes.
Now, you also testified that you'd been watching or viewing those Instagram posts where she was posting things about Fabio, the love of her life, right?
Yes.
Is it the same time frame when she's telling you she's going out and she's enjoying men hitting on her?
Yes.
As far as you're concerned about being in the house, when you went over there, was there other people there?
When I went over there in March?
When you went over there after the murder that first week, was there people around?
Yes.
Now, did you ever spend the night with her?
No.
Do you know if anyone spent the night with her, the girls? If you know.
No.
And to your knowledge, though, well, let me withdraw that. The defense was asking you, I know we're getting literal on the sobbing term, and you wanted to explain. So did you have an explanation why you used those words to the detectives back in 2020 that the defense read to you from your prior testimony? You used the word sobbing. Did you want to explain that?
Sure. So what I meant by sobbing was she would be like, you know, and she was talking like that, which to me is how I talk when I'm like so upset I can't talk. So that's what I meant.
Okay. So, and that's what you told the detectives. You're trying to describe her actions?
Yes.
Overruled.
Okay. And again, no tears during the sobbing that you witnessed.
I mean, I can say I don't know.
Okay. It's not something you recall, tears streaming down the face.
It is not something I recall.
All right. And then finally, one last point on the going out. Back in 2020, when you were interviewed, understanding it's a few years after the murder, you did tell the detectives what you testified today, correct? That what you just stated, that the defendant was going out, telling you she was going out, enjoying men hitting on her.
Yes.
And on a side note, did you ever go out with the defendant at any time before the murder or after the murder for karaoke?
No.
I have no more questions.
Recross?
No, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, Ms. Bleuel. You are excused. You may call your next witness.